Hi everyone and welcome to Eat Pray Art. We are now looking at Proverbs 3:5. Proverbs 3 verse 5 is, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. So now today's activity is going to be interesting because it's going to be testing our own understanding about ourselves. Okay. And it's going to be also learning to appreciate the people that we are that God has made. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing an abstract self-portrait, and for this you need your face. Hopefully everybody has a face, so that will be very nice if you can join in. The materials I'm using are acrylic paints and a palette knife. Now, if you don't have a palette knife, it's okay. You can use a paintbrush. But the whole fun of this activity is through a palette knife. So if you can get hold of that, that would be wonderful. The acrylic paints I'm using are thick acrylic paints, not the liquid ones, because that is what you can use to kind of go and use the palette knife on it. So I'm very excited about today's session. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to be doing is looking at our faces. So if you have a mirror nearby, look at it and look at your beautiful face. And it is beautiful. And so just like you can close your eyes and touch the top of your head, and just with your hands move down and feel your ears and then the bottom of your chin. Okay, so this is the top of your head, this is the bottom of your chin. Okay, now if you kind of follow the upward line, you reach halfway, which is kind of like where your eyes are. So this is where your eyes are. Okay, and these are your ears, which are at the top of your eyes. So now this is art lesson 101. I mean, my art teacher taught me this when we were doing self-portraits, but we are not going to be doing these fancy self-portraits today. It's abstract. So, but I just want to tell you a few of the important things, so at least you have something going, some sort of thing going on it. Of course, if you want to be Picasso or any other classic artist, you're welcome to do so. But I'm just running you through this. So this is the top of your head. Halfway through are your eyes, and this is your eye, and the top is your ear. Halfway to your eyes and your chin is the bridge of your nose. Now, some people have stubby noses, some people have long noses, some people have however their noses are. But essentially, our faces are symmetrical to our own faces. So if you do this, generally your face would, like your eyes, everything is symmetrical to your own face. It may not be symmetrical to your neighbor's face, but definitely to your own. So now your mouth is halfway from your nose, your tip of your nose, to your chin. So that's where your mouth will come. So I'm just running, this is just basic. Okay, now when you go from your eyes, halfway to the top of your head is your hairline, and your eyebrows come between your hairline and your eyes. So this is an understanding of, feel free to touch your head, touch your eyes, understand the shape. Like some people have round eyes, some people have long eyes. So feel your ears, understand your eyebrows, understand your nose. Do I have a long nose? Do I have a wide nose? I have a different nose as well. We all have different noses. And this is not an activity to put yourself down. Actually, it is, on the contrary, to look at yourself. And while you're doing that, take a deep breath and appreciate the beautiful features that God has given you. And He really has made you. And I keep quoting this in every single Eat Pray Art, but you're really fearfully and wonderfully made. And it's very important that you embrace that. So whether you have round eyes, square face, round face, oval face, whatever shape you have, it is your face. And that's what the beauty is in you. So I would encourage you to embrace that. And so just take a second to just understand your face. Okay, eyes, eyebrow, what are these? Eyelashes, nose, cheeks, mouth, chin. All right. So now we've gotten through the understanding your face. Neck, whether you have a wide neck, small neck. Okay. Now the verse talks about trusting in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Now, when we look at our faces, or when we look at ourselves, when we lean on our own understanding, we sometimes think it's very negative, or like, oh, my nose is bad, oh, I'm so black, like I joked, somebody joked about my skin color when I was a kid and said I was a kalamu, and so I had these complexes growing up about how I was a black face. Well, understanding that, okay, this is my face, this is how God has made me, and I am fair, or I am dark, or I am, in whatever format that God has made you, He's made you beautiful, and to really take a second to embrace that. But when we trust in ourselves, when we lean on our own understanding, it's often like we're kind of wrong all the time. In my experience, every time I've trusted in myself, I've been wrong, and every time I trust in the Lord, I am right. So today we're going to be taking that leap of trust and trusting God with our skills in creating artwork that represents our face. Maybe not literally. If you get it literally, great. If you can't get it literally, that's even more perfect. But let's try, and I'm going to switch cameras, and I'm going to take the top angle so you can see what I'm going to be doing. Again, just to repeat, I'll be using thick acrylic paint and a palette knife, hard paper, so the paint doesn't soak into it. So let's get started. Now, because I know more or less this is my skin tone, this is what I'm going to be using. However, you're welcome, like I'm going to be trying a little bit of this as well, and a little bit of this, just to experiment with what I'd like. And I'd probably use a burnt umber to experiment with the shades and highlights. You can use the pinks to do this as well. Before we begin, I just want to go through a few things like, so you put the paint here and then you apply it flat, okay? The second option is you apply the paint on the side and then you draw lines, which again I will show you, okay? Then you can apply it at the tip and then apply it like this. So I'm just going to give you a demonstration. So I'm going to take a little bit of paint on the back of the knife. I'm just going to paint. So this is when you apply the paint and you drag the paint across the page. Now if you drag it less, then it doesn't create this kind of texture, and then it creates like a bulb of paint. So for example, I'm not gonna, so this happens is you get a less opaque line, whereas if you drag it, then you get a little bit of what's in the bottom layer. Why is this important? Is because when you paint with two different colors, if you drag a little more, then the color below it emerges, and that's really fun. So the way you do it is that you squeeze the paint, right, and you just pull back to line the edge of the palette knife, and then you, in an angle where the line is facing, you draw a line. Now you can go left, right to add more color. You can drag this if you want to add more variation, but generally for markings, okay, it's draw the line, draw. And for curves, it's like this, but essentially this is a line. Now if you have paint left over here, you can lean in and lean out, but I was showing you about the color, right, the bleeding. So let me try and show you. This is the back of the paint. So now if you can see, the light blue is below and the dark blue is on top. So now what I've done is I've created like a dual color with variations. So this creates a beautiful texture. The blue is still visible, but the gold is now also created the markings. So just feel free to experiment if you want before getting started. Now I've blobbed it both here. Now I can mix it well, or I can mix it jagged to create a gradient. And another thing I want to tell you is, if you want, like for example, I've done all this, but I don't like that there's so much green color. I can just paint over the acrylic. So there's no acrylic dries really fast, so if you let it dry then you won't blend it, and then you can just add extra colors into the process. So I'm taking this just for creating a shape. I'm gonna just drop a little bit on the paper, and I'm just gonna create a shape with my knife. Okay, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but like now I am a round face in this, so I'm just gonna create a little bit of a chin for myself, and here are my ears, because I have understood that this is kind of the halfway point of my face, right? So now this is very, very fair for me, so I'm just going to add onto my brush. I'm going to add some colors, but this was to establish my face and the shape. So now right there on the paper, I'm mixing these colors. You can mix it on the side and bring it on, but I want this to be a little instinctive, right? I think that burnt umber was a little too burnt, but I'm building the colors, so I'm going to try this brown. So as I'm working the paint, it's actually mixing, creating a shade that I'm more happy with. My ears were getting lost, so let's get my ears back. Right. Now the advantage of having two colors is that when you scrape, you get this richness of tone. So for example, now if I want to make my nose in that spot, I can, which I'm not gonna, but what happens is I can make these markings, and the lighter color or the darker color, whichever you choose, comes out while you're mixing the colors. All right, so I think this is a little lighter version of my skin tone, but I'm going to just go with it because otherwise it's going to get lost, but I will build on it as I continue. Right, so now again, this is the top and this is the bottom, and so I'm going to find a spot in the middle, right? This is the middle of, so this is where my eyes are going to come. This is my ear. So I'm going to have fun a little bit, and I'm going to add whites of make it a little interesting. Okay, that's my whites. I'm not going to get too much. It's just a little bit too. That's really wide. Okay. I'm using the leftover to create a little line. And create like a shape. I have big eyes, so I have to make sure I'm being authentic to my big eyes. But with that, I'm drawing a shape of my nose. Right? Now I have black hair, but I also have white hair, because on my hair I have short hair. So It's helpful to have a tissue to wipe your brushes. So now I'm going to just brighten my skin because it's looking a little muddy. And so I'm going to maybe add a little bit of sienna opaque. I don't know if this will work. Again, I'm just experimenting. I don't know how this will look, but I just want to add some color into my skin. Just adding a little bit of color to my skin because brown has red in as well. So just, I know it may be like, what are you doing? It's just not looking like you. But this is where you're working with the paint, understanding it. I don't know if you can see this, but there's a richness to the skin tone that I'm getting, which normally I wouldn't probably get unless I was mixing all these colors together. Things I want to add, like I'd like to add a little bit of pink onto my face.
a little fun with my lips, because it would be nice to have. So again, bridge of the nose, halfway down. So like you can see, this is, I'm building on the colors, so it's creating, now that I've given it a little time, it's kind of dried, so I can go back and add a few variations of colors. Similarly, now I can work on the eye shape. Now I would like to maybe create a little shadow above my eyes. So I'm taking a little brown and so as I'm creating this, I'm creating a shape to my eye by adding a little shadow. See? So similarly, so I'm darkening the colors for the shadow. So it's not exact, but it's basically creating a wherever I need a shadow, I'm adding the darker color. But see, this is where I would be so curious to see how you guys did in terms of getting choosing your tone, choosing your palette. Sparse eyebrows. smiling. Now I'm also putting the leftover paint around because I'd like to also fill this space, so I'm not wasting anything. And that's why if you'd like to add your blues or your golds, and this is just purely on your instinct. And if you've gone a little over in your face shape, this is where you can cover it and bring the shape back. Paint on the surface, and you're just experimenting with. Now I really like blue, and I'm feeling really sad that I don't have blue in my art. So I'm going to add a dash of blue just because I'd like to. Another thing, if you'd want to, like, I really like this style, but if you'd like to add a little bit of white highlights, I don't know if this is going to help, but what I do is I just add a little blob, and I just to give a little bit of highlight. Experiment with eye color. You can make your eyes brown. So for example, not everybody has black eyes, so just a little bit on the sides to add a little bit of variety. Then if you want to add more definition, so from far away it looks really nice. Up close it looks like a big fat mess. But that's how we are in our own way. But I hope you really enjoyed this process. Any leftover paint that you don't want to use, paint it away. And I'm feeling this painting is a little dull, so I'm going to add a little bit of crazy colors to brighten their surroundings. So if you have like fluorescent, I'm going to be using a little bit of fluorescent to kind of brighten this up, you know, to just take away things from. And I'm not thinking so much about where I'm putting the lines. Just let your process help you with the flow. Just to kind of give it a little bit of variation. And then of course you're welcome to add more gold. I love experimenting with different tones and colors.
Thank you so much for joining me in this Eat Pray Art session. It was so lovely to spend time with you. I hope you have a new and refreshed look at who you are, how beautiful you are, and how precious every single part of you, from your eyelashes to your eyebrows to your eyes and your pupils, inside the white, the teeth, the nose. I hope that you're able to appreciate that. And most importantly, I hope you're able to trust in the Lord and not lean on your own understanding, because sometimes our own understanding may not be aligned to the Lord's understanding. So trusting in the Lord is very important, because He's the one who made you, because He knows what's best for you. So I hope this session has helped you. I hope it really has been an interesting session to look at yourself, look at the creation that you are, and trusting God with all of it and through all of it. Thank you again for joining me on Eat Pray Art. I'm Sangeeta Angela Kumar, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.